All right, so I've kind of lost track where I'm at and where I'm at showing you guys with this car. So I'm just finishing up the rear brake conversion. A lot of R&D on this. I'm hopefully gonna go for a drive today and just iron everything out and just check it's all good. And then I'm right to obviously release the video. But nonetheless, I figured I might as well show you guys a lot of the other stuff that I'm doing along the way. Some of which is kind of taking the water-to-air intercooler setup to the next level, which I'll show you in a sec. Got some new rubber and it's just been little bits and pieces. A lot of them are still unfinished and probably will be after this video, but I'll get there eventually with the limited free time I've got to do them. So anyway, I'll turn around to first person and I'll show you guys what's been happening. So first up, you'll notice I've got some new rubber. Some very sexy, big, aggressive rubber. So these are some Yokohama Geolandar G003 mud terrain tyres. These are a 285 75 16, which is a true 33. This is like the full height 33. Some of the manufacturers are slightly lower than a full height, but these are the absolute max, and man, they look pretty tough. I can't wait to get this thing off the hoist and see how it looks when it's under its own weight, but very exciting. So the reason I went with these tyres is because, well, firstly, look at that awesome grip. They've got really good reviews. I know that actually Rocket Rod from 4-Drive Action runs these on his 79, and although he is sponsored by them, he does speak really good things about them. But you know, Yokohama, they got a really good name. Really good tyre, and from what I've heard from just regular people who run them, they're really good. Not too noisy either, which is a good thing. Not that it really matters, because this is literally an off-road monster. That's all it gets used for. It sits at home, ready to go. As soon as I want to go, jump in the driver's seat, get some groceries, and we're off. So yeah, really excited to drive with them, but that's not the main thing. But that has given me a big kick up the arse to get this thing finished, because it's given me some motivation. So I guess I'll start in the back. There's a bit of stuff going on here. I'll try run through it as best as I can. Once this car's actually pretty well finished, I'll do a proper rundown on everything, but I figured for now I'll kind of show you guys what's been happening. So I'll get some lights set up and I'll grab the ladder to actually get inside. Okay, so for those of you who remember my video, a couple of videos ago, I gave a brief rundown on my initial setup. Same thing, drawers are there, fridge is there, but I've had a chance to kind of expand and finish things off. So you'll notice that there is now a compressor mounted there and also a 10-litre fuel cell. So that is a reservoir for my water-to-air intercooler, which is up the front, which you will probably know. You'll see that in a previous episode, which you can click up there. And I've also pretty much got my air system all done. I've also got a new auxiliary battery which is underneath, so you'll see that shortly. But essentially, you know, fuse box in there. Still a bit of wiring to finish up, but the gist of it, the compressor, it's just the King's Thumper, Twin Thumper Max. Pretty good compressor, so that literally just has a Nitto fitting on the end of it, so that will, nice and easy, it can connect into my air system, into the manifold. So I'll take this out of the way. So underneath that we've got this custom alloy floor that I made with a bit of a stud coming out of here that mounts to. So this is where all the magic happens. So you can see these bulkhead fittings that go through the floor. You'll see them underneath shortly. So basically this is out of the reservoir after the water's cooled back to the pump where it gets pumped back to the front. And this is coming back from the front of the car. It goes through a secondary cooler which is underneath, you'll see that too. Comes up here, still got to do one more fitting, but essentially that'll dump back into this tank and there'll be 10 litres in here at all times. Hopefully we'll take, with both the pipe runs and also the volume of the water, hopefully it'll help take a lot of the heat out as well as the other cooler that's underneath. So that's pretty much finished. I've just got to do that fitting. So that's, yeah, 5 minutes away. so here we go. I guess this is probably where the most of the custom work and the magic's happened. So I guess while I'm here, you can see up here, that's where my auxiliary battery connects up through the floor. So they're a rubber insulated kind of compression fitting. I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen them. That'll work really well to ensure no water kind of gets up through them into the boot space. So I've used them as well for that wiring loom. So that's a 7-core trailer wire that comes down. As you've probably seen before, I like to run that stuff because it gives you more options. And also it's a nice round cable, so you can seal it nicely with that grommet. And then we've got the 3/8 air fitting line, which goes through into the tank. So much stuff in the way, but you can see that. Then we come under here to my tank. I can't remember what size this is, I'll put it on the screen, but nothing too crazy, but it fits perfectly up under here, as you can see. So basically through the tank, it comes out and it wraps over to this manifold block. So on the other side of that, see I've got a nice stainless Nitto fitting with a cover over it. And then we got these 2 1/4-inch lines. So they go over and up into this wheel well where my locker solenoids are gonna be. So obviously one for front, one for rear. I figured I may as well run separate ones just in case something happens to one of them. It doesn't take out both my lockers, but we'll see. I will actually make up a shield to cover that as well, so don't freak out, guys. I don't know if I showed you this yet or not, but I've got this big beast of a battery under here. So this is a I think it's 190 amp hour, weighs about 65 kilos. This is from a UPS system, so like a backup battery power supply for a big building. So Brett snagged me this because he's a legend. So fit that under there, keeps the center of gravity nice and low, also gets a valuable bit of space freed up in the back, because if you remember, my battery was basically where the compressor and the fuel cell, well, reservoir for the water to air is now. So that's really good. What else have we got? So obviously the rear discs, they're pretty well finished. I'm just playing with the handbrake setup just to make sure it's all good before I release a video and show you guys. So then up here you can see I've got an oil cooler, but I've repurposed it for a secondary water to air water cooler. So essentially you see this right hand pipe here comes back from the engine bay after it's hot, comes through here. I do have a fan mounted up there as well with some nice Deutsch connectors, all waterproof, good stuff. Then it comes out of the cooler. It's going to be kind of hard to show. I might have to put some photos on the screen, but out of the cooler up through that bulkhead fitting, and then that returns back into the top of the tank, if you remember. Out of the tank, right at the back there, it comes out, and you can see I've got my water to air pump. So it goes into that, through the pump, and the pump will pump it back up the front. And yes, before you guys say, oh, it's gonna get full of mud and it's gonna get smashed on stuff. Yes, it will probably get full of mud. It's not gonna get smashed because look where it is. Like, I don't know, you'd have to be going pretty crazy to get something stuck up there or have the worst luck. So we'll see how it goes. It's probably the only good spot for it. The fan will have a cut-off switch off. I'm going through river crossings or whatever. Obviously I'll turn that fan off, but nonetheless, it's about the only spot for it. I figured the closer to the shielding of the axle and everything else, the better. So most stuff's just going to glide right past it and not even touch it. So fingers crossed on that one. So you can see under here, I've got my pipes. So I've got a bit of a hanger that doubles as there's a ground point for the secondary battery that's bolted through that cross member, which is then bolted to the body. So you daisy chain all those and keep them all connected. And then it kind of goes through under here and then up, and they kind of stack up on top of each other. And then, yeah, that's basically an in and out. So I think we'll take the car down and I'll show you guys. There's not much difference in the engine bay, but while we're on the spirit of things. So yeah, nothing too different at the front really. I've just fixed up the fitting arrangement here so I can fit this shroud back on, because when I did it, when we're going out to Baldmoan Gap, ran out of time. I didn't have time to get the right fittings, so I kind of had to just rig that up, but that sits in there nicely now. So yeah, cooler's the same, all this piping's the same, obviously a different master cylinder, and I also upgraded to an 80 booster as well, which has really made the pedal feel a whole lot better, because the Surf had such a spongy pedal. And yes, the brakes were bled, they're just a shit system from the factory, but so yeah, I'm pretty happy with the four-wheel discs so far. I've been for a little drive, as I said before, but yeah, really keen to get out on the road and test them, but so far looking really good. So you can check all that out in my brake conversion video, which will be out sometime soon once I finish it finally. So I've just done a little bit of rerouting up here with the lines. So essentially we're coming out of that alloy hard line that comes under the car into my filler reservoir, out of that down through the cooler, from the cooler down to the top port of the cooler, along the cooler, down, back again, out of the bottom port, then straight back into these lines, as you can hopefully see. So yeah, it all seems to be working pretty well. Let me think what else there is. So once all that stuff's done, I've got some wiring to do. I kind of want to get that bottom kind of fascia panel, that was all cut up from the previous owner, but I kind of wanted, ideally I'd like to 3D print one and put all these kind of switches in it. So I've got probably 8 switches or so, like lockers and compressor and all that stuff, lights, etc. Also got to wire up the new UHF that Ben gave us, so it's a nice GME one, so pretty much brand new, so thanks for that, Benny. Saves me buying something. And then yeah, just do a bit of tidying up. I've still got to run all the wires from all the wires from the back fuse box here. Got to run them all the way to the front to those switches as well. And then up here you can see I've got a nice Foxwing 2.0 270-degree awning sitting on the roof, so that's waiting some racks, and that will be going on soon. I'm going to be fabricating some custom racks very soon. As soon as all this wiring stuff's done, I can get onto the fab stuff. Basically got some 50 by 25 alloy channel, and then a 10 by 25 flat bar, which I'm going to weld on top and be able to tap threads in. I probably won't go into this because I'm still working it out, but I'll give you guys a rundown when it's finished. Basically a rail down each side, heavy duty, some crossbars. I'd like to have some slides with a tray, probably for max tracks, something that slides out the back. Gets them out of the car. As you can see, I've got 2 there, but I can only fit 2. And you don't really want to be kind of opening up the boot if you're in a big bog hole and you need them, so I'll keep them up there. And then on top of all that, I've got a nice June rooftop tent. One of the ones from Anaconda. Really, really nice tent. So keen to get that on. So all I gotta do is get some racks done, get the tent on, get the awning on, get some lights on it as well. So I've kind of provisioned for that in these looms here. So it'd be good to have some side lights and obviously some rear light and a light bar or something at the front. See how we go. Probably do some kind of wind deflector as well. Be good to get a solar panel somewhere. I actually did buy that solar panel there that's on my van for this, but it turned out it wouldn't fit between the racks, so it lives on the van now. But nonetheless, that's pretty much where I'm at. Yeah, a lot of stuff to do, but kind of once it's done, I'm pretty happy with this thing. Like, rear end's done. The gearbox is still a bit iffy, but I'll get to that. It hasn't really made me pull it out yet. Hopefully it doesn't do that soon, but we'll see. It's pretty good. First gear pops out sometimes. I've changed the shift to bush and everything I can do, but I think there's probably an issue with the Synchro. It seems to overextend into first as well. Oh, I do have a front diff with an air locker in it, but the person I bought it off blew the gears, so I'll eventually strip this down and do a build series on a front diff with an air locker. So I'll have to get a set of gears and we'll pull it apart and see what else is wrong. I'll do the front diff mod as well, so it's permanently engaged. It gets rid of the vacuum clutch thing there. And then another big thing on the list, but that'll probably be the next round of mods, is to get rid of this CT20. And the plan is to go high flowed VNT 1KD turbo. So Ben's developing a standalone system that can control the VNT with an Arduino based system, because he's a fucking genius, everyone knows that. So once he's got that sorted, I'm going to hopefully just be able to get a design and fab a billet adapter that'll essentially just sit on the stock position and adapt the new, I can't remember what the turbo's called, I'll put it on the screen, but the 1KD VNT turbo. Reason being is you can get the best low down spool and also open it up for the high end, which is perfect for this because the small displacement 2L, you know, it needs that really low down spool, but also because we've got the uni chip and all the supporting mods, we can really rev this thing out and make some decent power, hopefully. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So enough rambling. I'm pretty sure I've covered everything. So stay tuned because there's plenty of content coming. I'm not going to be able to cover everything in detail. So like I said, I'd like to do a rundown video on everything once it's all done, but you can pretty much get the gist of what's happening and how it's going to turn out. But yeah, nonetheless. Oh, and I want to Raptor coat it as well. So once all that's done, maybe next winter or something when it's off the road. Actually, maybe we'll go winter driving. I don't know. We'll see. Once I've got a stage where I'm ready to take it off the road for a bit, I've got some new doors for it because the doors have got rust in them. I've got to pull the windscreen out, fix some rust there. No surprise. And then yeah, keen to Raptor line it. Brett's got some for his 80 as well. So yeah, I'm really keen for that because the paintwork on this it's getting me down. I know it's an off-road rig and it's going to get scratched. I don't care, but it just looks fucked. So anyways guys, enough rambling, and I'm going to get back to work and stay tuned for some more videos. So anyway.